Okay, so let me check the chat. So we got people from everywhere here. That's cool. North Minnesota, Santa Cruz, Tampa, good. I'm in Florida too. Wisconsin, Missouri, Vegas, Utah, Kansas, Wisconsin. Okay, so we got a lot of the states represented, which is super cool. So that is going to be great. And this is going to be an interactive webinar. So I want you to know where the chat is, and you're going to work with me as I'm going to go through this talk today. This is probably something that is going to be new to a lot of you, is just connecting the hormone pathogen axis and why women struggle more. This is so important. If you're wondering where my accent is from, I am South African, although I live in Orlando. However, I've been doing this for over 30 years. We've coached over 1,000 health professionals, and we've supported over 100,000 clients online. So what I'm going through today is not guesswork. This is what we have seen over many decades and what has been instrumentally kept away from you as women to optimal health. And I'll dig deeper into this, but bottom line is what we're going to go through here is probably going to be very new to many of you. So let's go through some statistics first. And really, just these may be shocking for a lot of you, but it may be also like, oh, yeah, that kind of makes sense. Women are 8 times more likely to develop autoimmune diseases than men. Women also make up a staggering 78% of all autoimmune cases. And 75% of women experience hormonal symptoms that interfere with their daily lives. 60% of women with legitimate hormonal issues, and this is the key one, are told their labs are normal. So here's what medicine doesn't want you to know, as I said in the beginning. These aren't just statistics. These represent probably most of you listening in today, and millions of women, not just in the US, but around the world. And it's by high time that we start to actually connect the dots and be able to help you. So this is really the common story every single day, particularly myself and all the health professionals that we look after. They have high achieving women reaching out for help, and they have the same story. They wake up exhausted despite sleeping 8 hours. Their brain feels like it's wrapped in cotton wool. They gain weight just by looking at food and breathing and drinking water, really just having the perfect diet and exercise. They have zero patience of normal daily stresses. And they're really one meltdown away from complete breakdown. So this is what really makes me furious at the bottom, at the end of the day, is a lot of you go to your doctors and you get told your hormones are normal for your age. Does that sound familiar? You may get handed a prescription, typically an antidepressant, sent home to suffer in silence. Some of the worst responses I've heard is go get a hobby. In fact, many women 2.5 times are more likely to be prescribed antidepressants instead of getting proper hormonal investigations. And this, you can decide how many medications you're on at the moment and how many are really necessary. But let's do a little bit of interaction in the chat right now. So on a scale of 1 to 5, how much of what I just went through resonates with you? Does it sound like you? Put a 1 if not at all, put a 2 if occasionally, put a 3 into the chat if sometimes, and 4 if it's often, and 5 if this is literally my life. So pop into the chat, give us a number, let me know where you're at. Let me know that I'm speaking to the right people. Yeah, okay, so I'm seeing lots of 5s, a couple of 4s. Yeah, everybody get into the chat there. Let us know what's happening. We're going to use the chat a lot because I want you to really understand what I'm going through here. Okay, good. Okay, tons of 5s there. So I'm speaking to the right people, yeah. Okay, so let's go through. So what I'm going to go through tonight, this is my promise. I'm going to show you exactly what's hijacking your hormones. Hormones are key because that's what really keeps us thriving. And there obviously is an aging process, but We're going to go through why women struggle more than men, and it's going to be obvious. And then we're going to go through how to restore this natural hormone harmony. And I'm going to show you what a 90-day period looks like in doing that. So let's go through the uncomfortable truth. And let me hit you with some more statistics. And these really should make you furious. 90% of women with thyroid conditions are undiagnosed and undertreated. And most of the time, if you're going to go do your blood panels with your doctor, they're not even looking at the right numbers for your thyroid. And this is just heartbreaking, to be honest, because it's guesswork. It's like throwing mud on the wall, seeing what sticks as far as the medication goes. Try this medication, let's see how it works. Try this dosage, let's see how it works. And they're not even getting to the underlying root cause. Women are 2.8 times more likely to suffer from a chronic fatigue syndrome. And 1 in 8 women will develop thyroid disorder in their lifetime. This is in comparison to men, which will be 1 in 20. 43% of women report their hormonal symptoms are dismissed by the doctor. Does that sound familiar? And women make up 70% of chronic pain, fibromyalgia diagnosis. 80% of women experience significant brain fog, particularly during hormonal transitions, whether that is just your normal cycle or if you're going through perimenopause, into menopause, whatever that may be, it's telling you hormones are just very powerful and we need to get them more balanced. So let's do a little reality check here. What did your doctor say when you last complained about things like fatigue, brain fog, weight gain? What did your doctor say? Did he say, oh, that's just stress? Did they blame it on stress? Put it into the chat. Did they just blame it on age and say, well, that's just part of getting older, like nothing we can do about it. That's just, part of life. Suck it up. Go get a hobby. Or do they say, oh, everything's normal on your labs, nothing wrong with you, like go find that great hobby? Or did they just give you some medication, possibly an antidepressant? Pop into the chat, what was the response? And I know a lot of you don't even have doctors. I know there is this mistrust, so I get it. So if you did go to the doctor or the last time you went to the doctor and you had those complaints, what did they blame it on? Yeah, menopause, and that's how it is. Yeah. Diet and exercise. Just take your calcium meds. Yeah, it's just your diagnosis, diabetes. It's COVID, long COVID. Yeah, exactly. So you really get dismissed. And that should make you furious. And I hope it does, because if you are furious about that, that means that you're looking for what is the right thing to do. So let's move on to the next step. So here's the missing breakthrough that your doctors are missing. And this has really been going on for too long, to be honest. And what it is this connection between hormones and pathogens. And they are hijacking your hormones. So bottom line is, it's not just about hormones and stress and age and diet and exercise more, and it's just your diagnosis and all that nonsense. There is actually something happening in your body. Your hormones are being hijacked. There's a warfare that is happening. These organisms are literally controlling your hormones. How are they doing that? They're feeding on your hormones. They're destroying your hormone production. They're creating a cascade of symptoms that mimic normal aging. In other words, they are pretty intelligent on how to survive. They can create all these weird chemicals that simulate aging and symptoms that are really said in society as well. That's just normal aging. They have become resistant to standard treatments, and they grow stronger as they evolve and left untreated. So let's go into, why are you as women more vulnerable And the bottom line is, this is a fact. I've gone through the statistics, and it's predominantly because you have more estrogen. The estrogen literally feeds pathogens. Studies have shown that Candida yeast has estrogen binding proteins that use your hormones as growth factors. So it should be going to your brain, to your cells, to your skin. And no, it's going to the pathogens like Candida. Candida is one of the ones that are renowned for loving estrogen. And we'll dig deeper into this. Birth control history. If you have 60% of women have used hormonal birth control, you know if you have, that creates the perfect pathogen environment. Why? Because we've now got more estrogen from the birth control. And we know estrogen also suppresses the immune system to allow you to have babies. So we're feeding the pathogen, the Candida, and we're suppressing the immune system that it can't kill the pathogen. So it's the perfect environment, and that's why the statistics are what they are. If you have had kids, going through pregnancy is the perfect incubation period, not just for the baby, but for the pathogens. The immune suppression during pregnancy allows 40% higher pathogen colonization rates. Let that sink in for a sec. And this is why in functional medicine, we go through what's called a timeline. We go right back to, okay, let's see what happened in your childhood. What happened when you had kids? How did that timeline affect you taking on more pathogens and making them a host, you as a host for them? Environmental exposures. You know that women use more personal care products than men. It's generally 12. I think it may be a whole lot more. Those are just your general stats, but it's like double the amount of personal products compared to men, which means you're getting exposed to more toxins. And toxins, again, are going to be disruptive in many, many ways. Stress patterns. Women produce 50% more stress hormones in response to relationships than with men. And you probably get this as well. It's like you fret over something and your husband or your partner goes, you know, it's not a big deal. It's just, that's the way it is. Whereas you are going to emotionalize it. It's just the way you're built. And that's okay. We need to just know now that that is one of the important areas that are different, but how do we deal with it long term? So there is this gender disparity, and the shocking reality is that women with chronic infections, which is basically everybody, because everybody has pathogens in them, have 3.5 times higher rates of hormone dysfunction than men with the same pathogens in them. So this explains why women's health issues are more complex, harder to treat, and often require addressing the pathogen load before jumping onto HRT or taking your thyroid medication or whatever peptides you want to do to help your hormones. We have to get to the pathogens, the underlying root causes. So just a quick disclaimer, what we won't be doing tonight is talking about hormone replacement therapy to help your hormone dysfunction. So if you want to be putting bioidenticals into your life, then go see a doctor that does that, but make sure that they address the pathogens first. Otherwise, you're just feeding the pathogens more. Okay, so I hope you get the connection there. So what we want to do is we want to go to the root cause. We want to address the root cause, and then we want to see what happens to the hormones, and then we can decide, once we've optimized the body, then we can maybe use HRT or anything to improve the hormones. But if we don't get rid of the pathogens, we're just feeding them. We're not just going to do meditation. So if you think your hormone chaos is just about stress management and yoga, you've completely missed the real problem. We're not blaming perimenopause or the age timeline that you're in. If you're 30 to 50 and being told it's just your age, someone's lying to you. Age doesn't create this systematic destruction. It's all the other factors that I just spoke about. What we will be doing is we're going to be revealing the hidden pathogen hormone connection. I'm going to dig down into this. I'm going to show you exactly how to identify this and what to do about it. We're going to be showing you why women's hormones are under biological warfare and understanding the unique vulnerabilities. We're going to expose the 4 specific hijackers, the 4 specific pathogens that are destroying your system. And then we're going to give you a roadmap to reclaim your hormonal balance. And we're going to show you clearly what to do next. Okay, so let's do another interaction here. If you're ready to go deeper than just hormone balancing and HRT, type ready in the chat. And by the way, if you just want another supplement recommendation, this isn't the right place either. We're digging down deep here. So put into the chat, ready if you're ready to dive deeper and you're connecting the dots. Okay, I'm seeing a few people. Let's see who else. Anybody else ready to dig deeper? Just a few of you. Okay, I'm giving you some time. Let me know if you're committed to your health and we're going to get rid of these pathogens. Okay, so let's dig down deeper. Let's go into this hormonal pathogen connection. It's not just about hormones. You have something, what I'm calling here, hormonal pathogen hijackers. And these are specific organisms, there's 4 of them. They're feeding on your hormones while simultaneously destroying your hormone production. Let's go through these female vulnerabilities again and why these are different to men. Again, as I mentioned earlier, estrogen, not sure, my South African accent in US is always, you pronounce these things different. So estrogen feeds the pathogens. I've mentioned that. So every monthly cycle creates a feeding opportunity. And this is often why you get symptoms on a cyclical basis. It's not just, oh, this is part of my cycle. This is why I'm feeling crap. I've got brain fog. I've got bloating. I've got heavy periods. No, there's something deeper happening at an imbalance level of these pathogens that know how to control you while feeding off your hormones. Birth control history, as we went through there, if you have had kids, this was the perfect environment for you to take on more pathogens and for them to find their places in the body to hide and then to feed. Pregnancy is obviously going to be part of that birth control history leading up to it, environmental exposures we went through earlier, and the stress pattern. So these, again, it's just repetition here. If you know that you are stressed, that you are putting on multiple personal products per day, you have had kids, you've gone through birth control, and you're a woman with estrogen, you're pretty vulnerable to what I'm going through today. So this really explains the complexity and what we need to do to address these pathogens and make sure that once and for all, you can get your life back and your health back on track. So before we go into that, I want to go through briefly the hormonal highway system and really reveal what's destroying you. But first of all, I want you to see what it looks like in a normal situation. What's the ideal situation? So in a clean system, we have the stress insulin response highway. So the 3 most powerful hormones in the body are actually adrenaline, cortisol, and insulin. These are our stress hormones and our blood sugar hormones. Now, if those are disrupted, then that's going to, again, set the stage for the pathogens to enter our system. So that's going to be the first part that we need to clean up. The energy highway has got a lot to do with your thyroid. So if you're already on levothyroxine, Synthroid, your doctor's already said your TSH, that's all they measured, your TSH is above 2, you need to take some Synthroid. Okay, you know that that's not clean, but ideally that is working in perfection so that your energy is at its highest level. You never have any brain fog and you are ready to go when you wake up in the day. You have no slumps at 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock. The next part of the highway is the detox. When we're producing these hormones, we also need to remove them from the body. Otherwise, they accumulate. And when we accumulate, we typically get estrogen dominance. That causes a lot of issues. And we want to make sure that the liver is processing these hormones properly. We also want our communication highway. So these are the 4 highways that we need to make sure that are working properly. Our communication highway is our gut health, our gut bacteria. And we have specific good bacteria, when that highway is working properly, that are going to help to detoxify your estrogen out of the body. And that's ideally the clean system. Now, when this highway system is clean, you feel like yourself back in the day. You're going to be energetic, you're mentally sharp, you're emotionally stable, you're physically vibrant, your libido is in top shape. So looking at that system that I just went through, where do you think is your biggest highway block? Is it the stress, blood sugar part of the highway? Is it the energy, thyroid highway? Is it the detox highway? Or is it the communication, gut health highway? Or is it all? So type into the chat, where do you think those highways are blocked for you? I'm seeing a lot of alls. Not sure, maybe all. Yeah, and it takes a little bit of thinking, because sometimes now you get used to just being suboptimal during the day, not feeling great. So we've got a lot of alls, we've got some detoxes. Angela's saying insulin and gut for sure. So some of you may know more specifically where your vulnerabilities are. But I think that's what I want you to get into your mind, is the systems of the body. So when we are now looking at a root cause, we need to start to understand the systems. Okay, excellent. Some good interaction there. Fantastic. Okay, good. So let's move on now. So we're going to go through these 4 hormonal pathogen hijackers. Okay, there's specifically 4 of those. The first question is, have you ever had a yeast infection, taken antibiotics, or been on birth control? Just type yes or no in the chat. One of those 3. Have you had a yeast? Have you had thrush, taken antibiotics, or been on birth control? Type yes or no. Okay, lots of yeses. Okay, so what that's telling you is there is a very high probability that you have fungal yeast pathogens in your system, and they're doing some amount of destruction. We don't know the extent of it, but they're doing something, because they need to live. When they need to survive, they are going to take iron stores, estrogen, zinc, magnesium, B vitamins. They need all of these to survive. The main ones from a hormone perspective is they're taking the estrogen. So lots of yeses there. So basically these fungus, yeasts, they are feeding on the estrogen. They're also destroying the gut health. So we should have a good, what we call microbiome, which is the accumulation of all the good bacteria in the gut. They will slowly push out the good ones, because they want to survive. They're going to be the bad ones in the gut, and they're going to slowly destroy all the good bacteria in the gut. They're going to produce fake estrogen as well. And that fake estrogen is going to create a flood to your estrogen receptors so that they can use the real estrogen. And they're going to trigger cortisol. Why do they want to trigger cortisol? They want you to make more of the stress hormones. So they're going to trigger stress responses in your body. Why do you feel a little bit wired during the day for a certain part of the day? That can be the yeast actually creating those triggers that you feel a little bit on edge, and you don't know, okay, why am I a little bit anxious? And it's literally those pathogens creating the stress response, because then they can feed off those hormones. So what is basically happening is, when you got yeast in the body, you're drowning in toxic estrogen while you're starving certain other good hormones. Let's go into hijacker number 2. And again, in the chat, let me know if you have done any international travel, if you have any digestive issues, if you got bloating, constipation, any pains in the gut, any GERD, any reflux. Do you have any fatigue during the day? You wake up fatigued, you have a midday slump, you just don't have the energy, or if you got any weight issues. So type those: travel, digestive, fatigue, weight, or just type yes, either way. Weight resistance is a big one when it comes to yeast and the other pathogens. So any weight resistance is more than likely 99.9% of the time, it's going to be starting with the pathogens in the body. Okay, lots of yeses, all but travel, weight, but gut good. Yeah, so a lot resonating with that. I cleared up digestive problems, but occasionally get bloated. Okay, good job. All but travel. Okay. Okay. So this is really putting you into that category that you more than likely have bacteria in the system. We call this SIBO. I don't know if anybody knows SIBO. It's where we got small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. And again, it's pretty complex, but know that the pathogen of bacteria, because you can have multiple things, you can have yeast plus bacteria plus the other two I'm going to mention now, that are starting to disrupt the hormones. Hijacker number 3, this is my favorite, and I'll tell you why, are the parasites. And the parasites, they're going to attack our highways as well. And they're often overlooked. They're probably the most overlooked of all the others. And the reason for that is they're very difficult to detect. When we do stool analysis, it very seldom comes up with parasites in the stool analysis because they are the super hiders. They know how to latch on and not give anything away. They can hide, but they are the most destructive. And there is a 95% chance that you have parasites in your system. That is the scary part, is they are undetectable, but there is a very, very high chance that they're in your system. And here's the kicker. When you have a parasite, you have the bacteria, the viruses, and the yeast that hide in the parasite. So even if you go and remove the yeast, you remove the bad bacteria, they are still living in the parasites if we didn't get rid of the parasites. That's the scary part. Now, what do they also do? Obviously, parasites are a lot bigger than yeast and bacteria. So they are the ultimate raw material stealers. They're going to consume your B vitamins, your B12, your iron, your zinc, your manganese, your magnesium, your copper. They love all of that because they're also organisms. They need to live off all the same micronutrients that you do. They're just going to take it first because they're living in your gut and they're living in your liver. So they're going to get access first, and then they'll go, okay, well, I'm full. Now I'll let you have a little bit. And you go, well, that's not enough. And then it goes into your bloodstream, and then the yeast take it. And then eventually you got nothing. And this is why we do very specific blood work, which I'll speak to you on the optimal ranges, not the standard lab ranges. These parasites are also really good at creating stress responses because, again, they want to feed off your hormones. So if they can give you this little trigger of stress and they get some adrenaline, they get some sugar, they get all the nutrients and hormones that they need to survive again. They are also very good at leading you towards autoimmune conditions. So this is where Hashimoto's, a lot of people go, yeah, I've got Hashimoto's, and then they're not doing anything properly about it. They're just taking their levothyroxine or Synthroid or whatever it is, try and control the thyroid. But if you don't get rid of the parasites, then you're never going to help the thyroid and the Hashimoto's. So what is number 4? This is our last one. This one is what we call the thyroid assassin. And it's not just the thyroid assassin, but these are the viruses. These are the chronic viruses. Everybody has viruses in their system. It just depends how many. And the common ones are like EBV, And they are the typical ones that are going to spark the autoimmune conditions. And they go and hide in the parasites. CMV is another one. They also love to trigger autoimmune cascades. And they, what we call reactivate cycles. So they look for when the immune system is suppressed, and then they reactivate, they jump out, and then they go and attack. So again, we need to get rid of these at the same time. Thyroid is one of just the most common organs to be attacked by viruses. Hashimoto's, everybody knows what Hashimoto's is. And obviously autoimmune on the whole is very common. And as I went through in the statistics, autoimmune is 78% female, and only a very small percentage of men get autoimmune conditions. So now I've gone through the 4 hijackers. Okay. Tell me which one you think you have in the chat. And the key is you can have multiple, but which one do you think you have the most of? Which one is dominating with the symptoms that I went through there? Is it fungal, parasites, bacterial, or viral? Which one do you think is dominating you? Which one's running your life? Which one is feeding off you? Which one do you think? Parasites? Parasites, yep. Take a stab at it. Take a stab. Maybe viral, Angela, good. Okay, Yvonne's saying parasites. Jerry's parasites. Yeah, I have 3 of them, all but fungal. Parasites for Donna. Okay, good. Yeah, parasites are a big one, there's no doubt. All low parathyroid. Okay, that's the organ it's attacking. Okay, good. Okay, good. So let's move on. Okay, so here is the hijacker cascade. I just want you to imagine. It's very seldom that we just have one of these in our system. We usually have multiple. So here's kind of the truth. This is how it can start. We have antibiotics when we're kids. Then we have kids, or we're on birth control in between. If you're a woman, you've got more estrogen. What that does ultimately, it's going to change your gut bacteria, and it's going to allow for the parasites, the viruses, the bacteria, the yeast, fungus to grow in the system. More than likely, you're going to start with the candida overgrowth in the beginning. That's where it's going to start. The next step is once we got candida overgrowth, and this again is very common. How many people have kids and then they immediately have thrush? Think about it. A lot of you have probably had thrush yeast issues when you were having kids. That immediately is going to damage the gut barrier. When you damage the gut barrier, that allows for bacteria to enter the system, into the blood, go to other places, what we call translocate. Once we have translocation of bacteria, that creates inflammation. That's when you start to put on weight. And often when you've had kids, then you can never regain your slim figure after having kids, because now we've got these pathogens, you got more inflammation, and now you start to get viral reactivation because of the inflammation. Inflammation and immune system go together. When you got those chronic infections, that is when you're going to start to get the exhaustion. You get to 2 p.m., you got to go lie on the couch, you're exhausted, you just can't kind of get through the day. You're done by a certain time. Whether that time is 2 p.m., 3 p.m., 5 p.m., 7 p.m., you're kind of like done. Or you're waking up, you've slept 9 hours, and you're already exhausted. That is when now we've probably got all the parasites, the fungi, the bacteria, the yeast in the system, multi-pathogens. Now, what they do is they create what we call biofilms. They actually congregate together and they start to build this little community. And this community is often in the gut. And that gut biofilm now becomes very resistant to good bacteria and to antibiotics or anything that's going to try to destroy them. So, and typically what we have to use is biofilm disruptors to break it up and be able to get right down to the deep cells that are seeding the community. So this creates hormonal chaos when we have this cascade. It's going to create estrogen dominance. This is very, very common. And that estrogen dominance is then going to feed the fungi and suppress immunity. We get progesterone depletion, and that removes your anti-inflammatory protection. Progesterone is your friend. You're going to get your stress hormones, your cortisol dysregulation, and that's again going to create immune system confusion, depletion. Your thyroid isn't going to work. You're going to lose your energy. You're going to get the brain fog. You're going to just feel real crappy there. And then you're going to possibly go towards the insulin resistance as well, which is going to provide more sugar for all the pathogens. So this is why standard hormone therapy often makes you feel worse. You're feeding the pathogens with synthetic hormones while ignoring the root cause and the chaos. So why does your doctor miss this? Your doctor runs basic blood work tests, usually at the wrong time of your cycle, and completely misses the whole pathogen hormone connection. They don't test stool analysis, organic acids, which is a urine test. They don't look for panels to check for viral antibodies. They don't look for mold or mycotoxins and environmental toxins. They don't do all the metabolites of the hormones. Even if you're on HRT, they should be checking the metabolites. And they don't look for nutrient cofactors. And those are vital to keep you running smoothly. So it's almost like trying to fix the highway while ignoring the fact that it's under attack by multiple armies and getting hit by all the different types of armor. So tell me again in the chat, when you complained about hormone issues or whatever you went to the doctor about, how many of those tests that I just went through did your doctor run? The stool analysis, urine analysis, complete viral panels. When did they check all of those? How many did they check? 0, 1 to 2, 3 to 4, 5 to 6. Type a number in the chat of how many of those tests did they run. I'm seeing some zeros, some ones. This is very important. Is it just basic blood work? Did they do stool analysis? Very seldom do they do. Did they do urine analysis called organic acids? Did they do viral panels to look for those specific antibodies? Did they check the metabolites of your hormones? If you're on HRT, did they look at the metabolites? Because those can cause inflammation and then feed the pathogens. Okay. So lots of zeros, one with 3 or 4, one with 1 or 2. Okay. So very little. So bottom line is they're missing the whole connection there. So now what I'm going to go through is you can go teach your doctor exactly the 3-phase reset protocol. What do we got to do to eliminate these hijackers and restore your hormonal highway so that you start to feel amazing again? We got to go through, first of all, a detection phase. We got to figure out what are the pathogens, which are the ones to attack, how are we going to attack them. So we need to map the battlefield with comprehensive testing. Ideally, we got to do a complete pathogen analysis. This is blood work to figure out exactly what is happening. So usually we're going to start with the blood work. We can do stool analysis as well. We can do urine analysis to confirm and validate. We need to be checking your hormones and seeing where do, particularly the metabolites. We don't just want to know what is your estrogen. We need to know what your 2, 4, and 16 hydroxy estrogen levels are. Those are the detoxification. Those are the ones that can damage, create more inflammation, set up cancer. We need to look at your detoxification capacity and see that your liver and your kidney is functioning. If we can't get rid of hormones, if they are building up, then they're going to create more food for the pathogens. We need to see what nutrients are missing, and often the nutrients that are missing can tell us which pathogens are there. So if there is a lot of iron missing, you're anemic. that is telling us, oh, more than likely parasites and fungi. If there are certain B vitamins missing, that's telling us which pathogens are there. If there's magnesium and zinc missing, that's telling us which pathogens are there. Then we can look at your white blood count. What is happening with your immune system? That'll tell us what is there. So that is going to be key. Our immune system is the next one. Once we figure out the battlefield, we know who we are battling in this fight, then we can actually put a plan together and create a tactical elimination. We don't want to throw mud on the wall and hope that we hit the right one. We need to be very strategic. We need to be like that striker that hits the target every single time. So we need to decide, are we using natural antifungal protocols to hit the candida and the mold? Do we need to use bacterial rebalancing formulas from a natural level and address the SIBO and the dysbiosis? Do we need to eliminate the parasites first and use targeted antimicrobials for them? Or do we need to suppress the viral load so that the immune system can regulate itself again? Or do we need to hit the whole biofilm and disrupt that so that we can break up that community of all those enemies? Once we've done that, we've got the targeted approach, then we can start to rebuild the hormonal highways. This would be the right point to decide, where did the hormones lift to? Did they just get to, again, a suboptimal level? What happened? And that's where we can start to restore the gut health. We can start to restore the gut barrier function, and we can optimize the detoxification pathways. We can also rebalance natural hormone production and strengthen the immune surveillance. So that's really getting you back to feeling like you should be. So this is one of my clients, Sarah. I'm just going to go briefly through kind of where she was, because she kind of had all the microorganisms, all the pathogens. She had severe candida overgrowth, which was feeding her estrogen from birth control history. She had SIBO creating chronic inflammation. This is very common. She had viruses. She had an EBV reactivation that was attacking her thyroid. And she had multiple nutrient deficiencies from parasite theft. So we could see this all on blood work and the other stool analysis, urine analysis to validate. What were her symptoms? She was gaining weight besides having a perfect diet and exercise. So many of you are like, geez, I'm eating so clean, I'm exercising, and I'm still gaining weight. That is very common. And that's telling us, yeah, you have more than likely got a huge pathogen load. Brain fog so severe she couldn't finish sentences, and she is a VP in a Fortune 500 company. So like having brain fog and being in these executive meetings, like that did not go down well. She literally said by 2 p.m., my energy level was done. My battery was finished. And she had lost all her libido, and her marriage was starting to fail. Her anxiety was through the roof. Now, after 90 days, we managed to kind of reset all of that. And what happened there, she lost 28 pounds going through the targeted approach that we went through. Her mental clarity returned. She got promoted. Her energy lifted, that she was having energy all through the day. And bottom line was her marriage was restored. And she just had a better relationship because her libido also returned. And there was no more anxiety. She felt calm and relaxed and really just back to who she was. She didn't feel like the alien in herself had come out. So Sarah's highway system, we spoke about the highway system, went from a war zone where we had all these pathogens attacking the highways to, again, a smooth, efficient network of flowing traffic, flowing hormones, moving the way they should, getting to where they should, getting to their destination, not being hijacked along the way. So the bottom line is, I don't know if this is new to you or not, but you probably at a bit of a crossroads now, because hopefully I've introduced a new concept to you, which is the real reason for why you are stuck at this point. So you can either go through two versions. So I'm going to show you two versions of yourself, two different women you could become in the next, say, 6 to 12 months. Path one is really the slow disappearance, doing nothing. Imagine 6 months from now. Say it's in the afternoon, 3:14 p.m. You're in the conference room or you're in your workplace, wherever you are, you're leading a critical meeting. Mid-sentence, the word just vanishes. The simplest word, you use it every day, it's gone. Your team pretends not to notice. As you stumble, you fumble, you shuffle papers, you try to recover. The 28-year-old you just hired smoothly picks up where you left off. You feel slightly embarrassed. You get home at 7 p.m., exhausted from really doing nothing but fumbling your words. Nothing unusual. Your teenager asks for help with homework. You snap at them over a simple question. Their face falls. They stop. Your husband suggests date night this weekend. You feel nothing. No excitement. No dread. Just nothing. Apathy. You can't remember the last time you actually wanted to be touched. Your doctor just increased your antidepressant. Again, added a sleeping pill. Suggested maybe trying anxiety medication too. Your bathroom counter looks like a pharmacy. Thyroid meds, hormone creams, supplements that don't work, pills to counteract other pills. 2 a.m. in the morning, you're Googling early onset dementia. Your brain starting to go in all directions because you forgot your own phone number today. You're 44 years old. I'm just making up a story here. Go with me. You used to run a department of 200 people. Now you can't remember if you responded to that important email. You check 3 times. You still don't trust yourself. You catch your reflection getting out of the shower. You don't recognize that puffy face, exhausted stranger. When did you become this woman who needs 3 cups of coffee to fake being a human, who cries in her car after work, who feels like she's drowning in her own successful life, in inverted commas? So that's version number 2. That's path number, path number 1. Path number 2 is the fight back. So this is called the resurrection. So again, think of 6 months from now. Different woman. Same time, 3:14 p.m. You're in that same conference room, commanding it. Your mind is sharp. Words flow effortlessly. The 28-year-old you hired, she's taking notes, trying to keep up with your strategic thinking. You feel like yourself again. No better, upgraded. You get home at 7 p.m. energized. Your teenager asks for homework help and you're present. Different to the previous one. You're patient, actually enjoying the connection. Your husband suggests date night and you feel that flutter. The one you thought was gone forever. You text back and you go, how about tonight instead? Your latest labs arrive. The candida that was feeding your estrogen eliminated. The bacterial overgrowth creating brain fog, gone. The parasites stealing your nutrients, eliminated. Your hormones are naturally balancing for the first time in years. Your bathroom counter has 1 bottle of probiotic. That's it. No antidepressants, no sleep aids, no hormone replacements. Because when you eliminate what's hijacking your hormones, your body remembers how to work. Isn't that amazing? Your body can work. It just was hijacked. Now it's 2 a.m. and you're asleep, deep, restorative sleep. You wake up at 6 a.m. without an alarm. Actually feel rested. You look in the mirror and see her, that woman you were before the chaos started. Clear eyes, strong body, that confidence that comes from feeling powerful in your own skin. You're 44. Choose your age. I'm just making up a story here. You're 44 and hitting your prime, leading bigger projects, deepening relationships that create a fire that made you successful in the first place. It's roaring again. So here's the moment of truth. Look at yourself right now. Which woman are you choosing to become from the stories that I just went through? In the chat, type 1 if you're ready to just do nothing. Type 2 if you're ready to reclaim your power. Version number 2. Which version do you want? I'm seeing some 2s. Let's see some decisiveness. It's your decision. It's your life. 2 sounded like more fun than 1, I would say. It's like a no-brainer. But I've got to paint the picture because I see this so often. People that make decisions get better. People that stay in the same old mediocrity, they get worse. They don't stay the same, they get worse. That's the crazy part. So the bottom line is these pathogen hijackers, they're getting stronger every month. Every month you ignore them. Every cycle that passes, they entrench deeper into your system. Every year you delay the reconstruction, and they are smart. They become more complex. Don't think of them as these single organelles. They have been around longer than us. They know how to survive. So why is it important? Your hormones aren't just about feeling good. I've been trying to kind of get this through. It's not just about like libido. They control your cognitive function. One of the main symptoms when you hit menopause is cognitive decline because estrogen was actually helping your brain. And that is key. So your career, really, your livelihood, your ability to communicate with friends, with intimate relationships depends on your mental clarity. And often, mind is everything. Emotional stability is all about hormones. Your relationships are going to be more balanced when you have emotional stability. You've got more friendships, you've got deeper relationships. Your metabolism works. Think back when you were at your best physique. Your hormones were probably at their best then too. That's the crazy part. That's the connection. You probably had very few pathogens in your system because your metabolism actually worked. You didn't need to rely on your synthroid. Your immune system is very reliant on hormones, and long-term health and healthy aging with not accelerated aging is fundamentally around hormonal balance, and it all starts as early as possible. And stress resilience, again, is all about how do we actually not be triggered by these pathogens when you're sitting calmly and all of a sudden you have some anxiety. So you're under this biological warfare. And the bottom line is that it sounds like most of you are ready to take it back with that number 2. And I'm glad to hear that because then my message is getting across. So you're really getting to kind of the final choice now. You deciding whether you want to be eaten alive by these pathogens that are feeding off you and making sure they survive. If they kill you, well, that's it. They'll move on. So I've really just shown you now how to exterminate them, how to figure them out, how to exterminate them, and how to stay balanced. And this can be done. We've done this many, many times. It's not like new. But the first step is just to recognize that you are at war. That's the bottom line. Most women have no idea about what I've just gone through. So for you guys jumping on now, I celebrate you because you are proactively kind of figuring these things out. And the bottom line is it's going to pay itself back multiple times over because reducing these symptoms just makes you feel better and better. So on a scale of 1 to 10, how desperate are you to stop being a host and start to be in control rather than feeding these pathogens? So give me in the chat out of 10, 10 being like, I'm ready to not being a host, and 1 is like, I don't care anymore. I'll just be whoever I am. I'll feed those fungi and those parasites. On a scale of 1 to 10, how desperate are you to stop being a host organism? Type the number into the chat. There you go. I see lots of 10s. Oh, and a 12. Love it. Love it. Okay, super cool. See some 2s and 1s. Maybe that was before I gave the scale. Okay, good. So now you understand we're going through the biological warfare and we need to get into some analysis. So what I've done, just because you guys have also taken time to listen to this, is we have partnered up with a lab, with one of the brave labs in the country, to really expose this. And what we trying to do here is just make sure that we can identify the complete parasites in the system, every organism that's feeding you. Figure out your detox systems, where it's failing, why it's failing, what do we need to do? Look at the viruses. What viruses are in the system? Do we need to attack them or not? Where are the nutrient thieves? What is missing as far as the nutrients go? And what are the nutrients telling us which pathogens are there? Having a look at the hormonal map. What is the devastation there? What does it look like? How imbalanced is it? And what do we need to restore that? And then where's the immune system? The immune system is compromised. So we need to figure out what does that pattern look like? And that's going to tell us a lot of what are the next steps. So typically we would start with a blood analysis, comprehensive blood analysis to be able to do this, do a consult. Typically this costs around $1,200. If you're trying to order it yourself, it's probably going to cost you that because it's a very comprehensive blood work. However, that obviously is not what I'm offering you tonight. I'm just giving you kind of a heads up of what we usually do. So we have put a special deal together. If you do want to do a complete analysis, do all the comprehensive blood work that we do with our clients to figure out these pathogens and what's the best next step. And that is literally at $397, which is just covering all the cost of those blood lab works that we do. So this is just for you guys tonight so that you can just stop dying, stop being the host, stop being that person that's feeding all those pathogens and restore your hormones once and for all. So Sarah will put a link into the chat for you if you do want to do that. But this is really my promise to you. Within the next 30 days, you'll know exactly which organisms are consuming you and having the weapons to exterminate them. If you don't feel this is worth 10 times the investment, I'll refund every penny and you can go back to being slowly eaten alive. We've done this many, many times. As I said, we've supported over 100,000 clients across the globe, and we support over 1,000 health professionals. And we teach us, I teach this every single day to them to understand. So we know what we're doing. We're just giving you the best offer to be able to help you. What we will do as well is once you've done that blood work, you can actually get on a call with me. It'll be well over an hour and we will go through a full analysis and I'll show you exactly what that looks like. Typically, that would cost you $500 for an hour with me. We will also create a 90-day protocol to show you what to do next and to be able to take decisive actions and to be able to go from there. And if you want to work with me on a closer level, I'll go through exactly what that looks like. So really, we're giving you a no-brainer opportunity to just step up and to commit to yourself. If you did say you no longer want to be that host organism, you want to take back control, you want to get your hormones right again, and you want to start to feel that vibrant energy again. So have a look in the chat. Sarah has put in the link there. And this is really the last, as I say, the last chance to stop being prey to these pathogens who are literally eating us alive, who's ready. And you need to be ready to become the hunter. We got to hunt them down. We got to kill them. I do this with myself, my family, my wife. We all go through a strategic protocol every single year to eliminate these pathogens. So we know it intimately ourselves and we know how to look after our clients and support all the health professionals. So if you're going to go ahead, I want you to put into the chat, exterminate if you're ordering your analysis now. Put your hands up and let me know who are those that are actually serious and didn't just put the tens and the numbers in the chat for fun, but are actually serious. So pop into the chat, put exterminate, and I'm going to be thrilled to actually help you identify these pathogens and to be able to exterminate them and then show you how that looks moving forward. Super cool. So pop into the chat, exterminate, if you have decided to take action. Not working, so can't now. Yeah, just click those links. Those links should work perfectly, and you can do that. Yeah, exterminate, and we will. Now, the typical process is going to be, once you have ordered the labs will immediately be shipped. They generally get to you within 2 to 3 days, and that will be a pack to be able to go and get your blood work drawn. Okay, so you will be supported in finding a lab near you to be able to have that blood draw. And then it typically takes about 10 to 14 days for us to get the results back. At that point, we will be sending you a form to fill out so we can get more details about you. And you will be part of our community. If you're not already, please join, download on the App Store, Executive Health Reset app, and you will be able to join our community. You more than likely have received texts and emails to join our community, but you will be placed into a private channel there where you can also ask me questions and be part of the community that are actively moving forward to help each other. I can absolutely answer questions. If you do have any questions, I can go through those. So Tammy's asking, is this like the Dutch test? This is not like the Dutch test. We do the Dutch test. Dutch test would be a more, I wouldn't say more advanced. It's a advanced hormonal test to do that, to look for the metabolites, but it's not going to tell us the pathogens, Tammy. And that's why we always start with the comprehensive blood work that we do, because that is going to tell us a better picture of what are the possible pathogens with the micronutrient deficiencies, the immune system, what does the immune system look like. So we're going to extreme detail to be able to look at those blood reports to go, okay, what's the best next step? Ideally, we do as much data analysis as we can. That would be the gold standard. That would be stool analysis, urine analysis, Dutch plus the blood work. We even do DNA analysis. That would be like another level. If you want to do that higher level, just again, reach out to us and I can let you know what that looks like. But yeah, glad to see that some of you are taking action, that you have not decided to continue being the host and being eaten alive by these pathogens, and you can now start to actually get to a recovery. What does the remedy protocol entail? Well, it's going to be different for everyone. That is customized, but the main goal there, Sabby, is to be able to eliminate those pathogens and then restore proper foundational micronutrient deficiencies and systems. So does the highways work efficiently again? Are they still under attack of the parasites, of the fungi, of the bacteria? So we need to restore that. So that's what the protocol entails. And it's very strategic. So when we get the reports back, then we'll know what's the best next step to do there. Can we see some reviews? We've got, yeah, I mean, we've supported thousands and thousands of patients. Let me know if there's any other questions. If anybody wants to unmute and talk, you can do that as well. Sarah would unmute you, just request that. Otherwise, put your question into the chat. Why doesn't a vegan lifestyle eradicate pathogens? Food alone won't eradicate pathogens. And often we see with a vegan lifestyle, it's going to promote poor gut health because we need a balance of proteins, higher proteins as well to support many of the systems. So yeah, it is a lot trickier to actually navigate a vegan lifestyle compared to a more balanced lifestyle like a Mediterranean diet to be able to optimize gut health and inflammation and immune systems. So yeah, but food alone would never remove the pathogens, unfortunately. You need to actually have specific natural antimicrobials. Where am I located? Orlando, Florida. What is the estimated cost of the remedy protocol, ballpark figures? It really depends on the protocol, but yeah, it's going to be a combination of lifestyle, nutrition, supplement, the right supplementation to be able to build that out for you. So yeah, easiest would be to know what we're dealing with and then be able to put that together, and then you can decide if you want to move forward. But rather we first get the data and then we know where you're at. The more complex it is, obviously the harder it is. So if you're in a very bad shape, then it's obviously harder to get you back into good shape. If you're not in bad shape, then it's easier. Good job, Tammy. Click the link. Super cool. Okay, put some exterminates if you are deciding to move forward. Love to kind of see those that are really committed. Let me know if there's any other questions. Cool. I'm going to hang around for another minute or two. Okay. And then the main thing is make sure that you are joining our community. So if you're on the computer now, you can go to the web page, which is executive app. Sarah, maybe you can put that in for us. App.executive health reset. Let me put it in here. App.executive reset. So this is the new app that we built on the app stores. App.executive health reset. I think it's that one there. It should open up for you. Will this help with H. pylori? Absolutely. H. pylori is one of the things. So with all of our protocols, we start with stomach health. If you don't get the stomach health optimized, which is obviously where H. pylori lives, then you're never going to get anything else right. And this is what many, many practitioners miss, is optimizing stomach health. And there's a very specific way that you got to go through that to optimize stomach health. But once you've optimized stomach health, in other words, you've optimized the acidity to be able to eliminate pathogens. So this is a talk in itself, but I think it's a very important point that's been brought up by Sabi here, is your natural pathogen eliminator is stomach acidity. Stomach acidity should be at a pH of 1 to 2, which is very acidic. Why do we have that? Because most of the pathogens enter through our mouth. The first place they're going to go to is the stomach. If your stomach acidity is optimized between 1 to 2, first of all, you won't have any H. pylori because it can't live in that, and you will kill off the pathogens, the parasites entering, the viruses, the bacteria, and the yeast. Unfortunately, as we age, our stomach acidity reduces. So we need to know how to optimize that, because we don't have to just bend over and go like, okay, I'm aging, my stomach acidity is going to get poorer. No, you can actually optimize your stomach acidity. And the sooner you do that, then your small intestine will be healthier and your large intestine will be healthier. And that means your liver will be healthier. And that is where the majority of the parasites live. So for a lot of what we do on our protocols, we're going to start immediately with optimizing stomach health. And that usually fixes a whole lot of things. And then we can successfully eliminate the parasites and the pathogens. So that's a really good point. And again, in the executive health reset, this is what we talk about and go through in more detail. Do you know if this will help with low parathyroid? Yes, absolutely. So again, all the organs are going to be connected back to an underlying root cause. And the underlying root cause, 95% of the time, is going to start in the gut with pathogens. And those pathogens are majority in the gut, but they have also been translocated out of the gut. And they will be sitting in organs, below the skin, in the brain, wherever. So, and that's typically why you'll have yeast as thrush, vaginal thrush, that type of thing. It's gone from the gut now into other areas of the body. So it's the same with the parathyroid. We need to have a look at those underlying root causes and then address it in a similar way. had irritable bowel and healed all that up. Do parasites cleanse and doing pretty good. Just seem to be missing something for the liver. Yeah. Well, that's good that you've gone through that paradigm. So the key there is to be able to optimize. So sometimes you can shift your gut health to a better position, but it's still not optimized. We need to get to the optimal levels. And when you got your gut to the optimal levels, then the liver will be optimized as well. So think of the liver like the washing machine of the body. It's going to go and it's going to clean out everything that's coming from the gut, and it's going to clean out everything that's coming from the rest of the body. So the liver is going to be instrumental in detoxifying the bad hormones and not feeding the hijackers all these pathogens. Okay, good questions. Thank you for all those great questions. Let's see. Anybody else? Are they chosen to exterminate the pathogens, or are they still sitting on the fence? Let me know if you're sitting on the fence and if you got any questions that I can help you move forward. So once this offer's done, it's done. We won't be offering this again. As I said, usually it costs $1,200 just for a consult with me and to go through this, let alone working with me long term. So this is like a really good deal. If you like on the fence, just jump in because this won't be offered again. Okay, so let me know if there's any last questions. Otherwise, we'll probably shut down now. And we've been around for just over an hour, so that's super cool. Okay, fantastic. Okay, where do we go to get it? To get the link? I'm not too sure what the question is. Where do you go get the link? Yeah, the link is, Sarah, do you want to put the link in again? It should be up. Here it is. I'll bring it down to the bottom. There we go. There is the link. You're welcome, Yvonne. I'm glad you enjoyed that. Super cool. Okay, we're going to be shutting down now. So I hope that made sense to you all. I really, really hope you guys think about this. If you haven't taken action, just know this is the pathway. We've been doing this for a long time. We know what works. We work with all the very difficult cases. And yeah, certainly like you don't have to look anywhere else. This is the next best step to go down to fix whatever you want to fix. Yeah, they may put on some extra charges there if it wasn't 397. So our charge is 397, and then the labs put on a little bit extra if it has added taxes and that type of thing. They may add on taxes and shipping. Savvy if it did do that. My apologies. Yeah, it directly goes to the lab, so it doesn't go through us when you click that link. It goes straight to the lab, and then they are processing it immediately to ship out to you. So just so you understand there how that works. Okay, perfect. Well, again, big thanks for all of you to join us. I hope that was insightful, and stick around. We certainly do more than a webinar every now and again. We're doing it at least every second week. So have a look out for more emails. You will be in our system. Just look for your emails and the texts, and we'll let you know when we will be doing more. Are there more questions coming? What's the total cost? I did a webinar before where the functional medicine started at 1,200 and ended up at 13,000. Stuff having insurance and these things. Could you pay that by payments? Yeah, so the lab does have the ability for you to use HSA and FSA. Have a look there. So I think they did have some like payment options. Just go through that link and then you might see different options there to be able to do that. Perfect. Yeah, Sabby. Yeah, you can just go through it there. If you got any questions, just reply to one of our emails or text, and we'll be able to get back to you, or go into the app and then you can put a post in there and ask us. In the app, you can also, there's a direct chat, so you can do that. Yeah. Is this recorded? It is recorded. Correct. You can go through it again. Makes sense. Okay, good. Any other last questions? Epilopoprotein. Yeah, we're going to, in the blood work, we test like everything. So we do a deep dive into all the lipid panels. So epilopo is a part of the cholesterol. So we're going to look at the cholesterols as well. A lot of those cholesterols tell us a picture of what's happening with parasites and pathogens. So it's a very deep dive, that blood work. Yeah, you won't get it done by your normal doctor. Yeah, we'll send a replay out so they can have a listen. So that lab that we use is called Access Lab. It's a functional medicine lab that we use. It goes through Rupa Health. Rupa Health is a platform of all the functional medicine labs. So, yep. If we did it through LabCorp, it would be more expensive. So Access is like one of the cheaper ones, but they do all the testing. Okay, good. All good questions there. Any other last questions? So yeah, you won't need an access in your area. You will just need to go to a lab that does a phlebotomy. It's not LabCorp or Quest. Generally, we recommend you go to what's called Any Lab Test Now, which is in many areas, and then they'll do the blood draw and be able to send it off. However, the platform we use, Rupa Health, so you would have logged in there and purchased through them. You can literally ask them for help on looking for somebody in your area to help with the draw. Yeah. So what's the total cost? Or if you click the link and go through it there, you'll see what the cost is there. I think the labs, they do put on a little bit of tax and shipping, so it may go up a little bit like you saw there. But yeah, we literally don't put anything on it. It's like the lab costs. Yeah. Any lab test. Yeah, it's called anylabtestnow.com. Is the one that you could do the blood draw through. So if you went to any lab test now and they were in your area, there are obviously other ones. So you could get a mobile phlebotomist and then they would be able to help you. Any lab test now. Yeah, so that's just one option. If that isn't an option for you, they're not there, then there'll be others. Yeah. And the platform that we use, Rupa Health there, so the link goes to Rupa Health. They would be able to help you just through their chat services to find somebody, or you could just message us and we could help you. So yeah, absolutely. Don't worry, we support you along the way. So if you got any hassles there, we would be able to support you. Okay, good. Any other last questions? All good. Sarah, did I miss anything? All good.
I think you're all good.
We're all good. Okay. Okay, people, great having you around. Please continue to follow us. We like to bring the latest cutting edge information to you to help you. And yeah, we're here just to be your friends and to obviously help you with your health. So you guys take care, and great having you join me today. We'll be shutting down now. If you got any other questions, please send it through to our email, or you can go to the app. Either way, take care and see you soon. Bye.